What is up, guys? Every time a new Pokemon comes out, there's this discussion to, is this Pokemon pay to win, and is it broken on purpose to boost the sales of this Pokemon? Which I think is an interesting discussion, because there also has been a lot of bad releases, and a lot of very, of course, pay to win or broken releases. I'm gonna rank every single Pokemon from release to now Chandelure, so from Gardevoir to Chandelure, in release order by how strong I think they were on release, and if the Pokemon was fair and not fair. Of course, my own opinion as well a bit on how I thought how strong those Pokemon are, but I also looked a bit at, a win rate. So first was Gardevoir, actually the first release Pokemon in Unite. It was below average between unplayable, it was somewhere here. It was very weak. It needed level 10 back then. It needed level 10 for the Gardevoir Evolution and for the Unite move, which was absolutely terrible. So laning was difficult and jungling was also difficult because you couldn't get your Unite move for the bottom objective. And back then, the bottom objective was insanely strong. If you won that, 80% of the time, you actually won the game. So it was just very, very bad. I think Blissey was actually quite strong. It was between balance and strong. Safeguard Helping Hand back then. Softboard X build was pretty bad though. The healing build was bad, but Safeguard was very, very strong. The only problem was Eldegoss back then was the superior support or superior healer. So Eldegoss was most often taking, Blissey spotlight, but Blissey was actually quite strong as well, especially again with Safeguard. Blastoise, our first pay-to-win Pokemon. This Pokemon was beyond broken on release. It was absolutely disgusting. 100,000 damage every single game without a chance. Unite move almost one-shotting entire teams. This Pokemon was crazy on release. Mamoswine was absolutely unplayable, I would say. You did see sometimes some people try it out in pre-mates and stuff with Ice Fang. But let's be honest, this Pokemon was just a bit of copium because people were bored and wanted new things. But Mamoswine was absolutely terrible. Very, very bad Pokemon. Also needed level 10 for Unite move. Level 10 on a defender Pokemon for Unite move and the last evolution was not a good thing. Sylveon, that Pokemon got hotfixed after one day. Mystic Fire was OP, insanely OP. We had Hyper Voice being completely OP. This Pokemon was absolutely disgusting. Greedent up next as well. Corvette Belch was one of the best releases ever. I had a lot of fun playing it because it was very dumb. I had a 22 game win streak with this Pokemon in ranked. And yeah, this Pokemon was absolutely unfair. Beyond unfair. It was crazy. Next up, we have the Decidueye, which I think was quite balanced of a release. This one was very reasonable. Spirit Checker was back then a bit bad, so Razor Leaf was the more picked thing, but the Decidueye was a very reasonable release. I think Serena was also completely overpowered, right? Remember the Triple XL days, and Serena since then has received nerf and nerf and nerf and nerf, but this Pokemon was absolutely broken. Dragonite as well. We had back then the Dragonite. As soon as Dragonite came out, we had the Dragonite meta, right? And Hyper Beam against Hyper Beam for the objective. It was, you had to have Dragonite on your team or you had no chance of winning. Next up, we have Trevenant. Was absolutely unplayable. That Pokemon was one of the worst ones ever released. Mamoswine and Trevenant were the worst days I ever had playing a new Pokemon release. That's all I can tell you that much. It was hideous. And next up, Aegislash as well. Aegislash, absolutely unplayable. I think it also had a very bad bug on this boosted auto attack back then. So you just couldn't play this Pokemon. You just couldn't. Doesn't matter how much you tried. Those three Pokemon were probably one of the worst days I had in Unite when it came to releasing new Pokemon. Hoopa was another just overpowered Pokemon. It wasn't pay to win though, luckily, because I think everyone got it for free after a certain amount of days. So everyone got it for free. It still goes into the pay to win category just because it's OP. But again, Hoopa, everyone got Hoopa for free. So I guess it doesn't really count, right? Duraludon though does count. And this Pokemon, another one, probably a top 3 release when it comes to how strong this Pokemon really was. Dragon Pulse damage was just absolutely crazy. And I don't know what else to put it. I think on release day, I already had 190,000 damage games back then. Every game you had 150,000 damage every single game. Back to back. It did rain 5 seconds. Yeah, it was wild. Azumarill I really tried to make Azumarill work, but this Pokemon was very bad. I wouldn't put it into unplayable, but I feel like it was for sure below average. It was very, very bad on release. And since then, of course, got buffed again. Now it's bad again because they nerfed it because it was too strong. But yeah, this Pokemon was not great. Espeon was a very balanced release, I feel like. And it took a very long time for Espeon to actually become the strong it is right now because, it got buffed, right? But Espeon on release, I think it was quite balanced. It was between balanced and below average, I would say. It had a very strong laning phase. And that was pretty much about it. Delphox, I think Delphox was not paid to win necessarily, but it was very strong. Maybe it was even paid to win. Fire Spin was pretty insane back then. for sure. But I want to put it into the strong category. Fire Spin, Mystic Fire, I wouldn't call it. I wouldn't call it pay to win, but it was very strong. For sure. Glaceon, I think, was also strong, but I don't think it was necessarily pay to win. Icy Wind was very bad on release as well. It took some buffs before it became good. Ice Speed was solid though, but I also wouldn't call it, you know, pay to win. Buzzwole was absolutely unplayable. Still kinda is almost, but no. Buzzwole is of course much better now, but that Pokemon was absolutely unplayable on release. Trinita, absolute another just monster when this Pokemon came out. It could crit on its Unite move, and there's some hilarious clips I had back then. You can probably just go through my videos and go through like very old videos where Tyranitar did like 3600 crit, true damage on its Unite move, and Ancient Power also like he couldn't die. It was ridiculous. Man, this Pokemon was absolutely ridiculous. Mew, also another pay to win Pokemon, even though everyone also got it for free, right? But you could speed it up faster if you paid for it. And yeah, it became very strong very fast. Dodrio is an interesting one because Dodrio took 4 weeks before it actually became good. So I'm going to put it into strong, but not pay to win, because no one actually understood how Dodrio was supposed to play when it came out, alright? No one actually knew how it's supposed to play this Pokemon, or what are you supposed to do on this Pokemon. So it had a very bad win rate. Actually, I can try and show it fast as well. It's actually hilarious how its win rate went up without even being buffed. This Pokemon, as soon as people played it more, and we're gonna go to our Dodrio right here, the more people played it, it slowly became... I can't find Dodrio right now. Where is he? Where's the bird? There we go. You can see right here. It wasn't even buffed, but you can see the win rate went up week by week by week, and suddenly it was at, like, I think it was like top 2 or like first place position without a single buff. So quite hilarious, but then we always know Dodrio was absolutely busted of a Pokemon. Also, me on release, I wasn't sure how good this Pokemon is. It took a while for everyone to figure it out. So actually, if people were good, it's pay to win. So maybe I put it into that category as well. Because, I mean, yeah. Man, pay to... Okay, so already looking, you know, a bit on the pay to win side right now. Scyther was, I feel like, below average. And then Scizor was absolutely unplayable. Scyther worked a tiny bit. It was for sure, like, playable. But it was nothing great. And then Scizor was absolutely unplayable in release. Very, very bad Pokemon. Clefable, I think, was also just absolutely unplayable on release. It got a lot of buffs since then, but they nerfed it very hard from test server onto live server as well. Then it was like, this Pokemon just really did not work whatsoever. Zoroark, I think, was quite balanced, I would say. Night Slash was very strong, but you still couldn't really win games necessarily with it, but it was, of course, very strong. That is for sure. But I wouldn't call it... I think it was quite balanced. It had a decent counterplay. And you always lost late game on this Pokemon anyways, every single time. Sableye, pay to win. I don't think I have to put much more into that. The Pokemon was completely busted on release. Absolutely completely busted. One of the most unfun Pokemon ever made into this game. And I still hate that everything in this Pokemon exists. Now we have the 2 Urshifu builds, which I feel like Surging Strikes Urshifu was either balanced or below average. It just didn't have a chance against Vic Blow, right? But yeah, it was for sure. I would say it was below average. You could do a lot of things with it, but in the end, it was all like you just wanted to make it work, and it had very strong level 5, right? That's for sure. It was very strong level 5, but you had no chance of winning games with this build. I felt like it was very, very bad. The other one was pay to win for sure. Big Blow Urshifu, one of the best released Pokemon also ever, has been a top meta Pokemon with this build as well since forever. So yeah, Urshifu, of course, the other one goes into the pay to win category. Dragapult was a very good release Pokemon. I think very balanced. Both moves felt fun to play. And yeah, I think that's how Pokemon should be released, like Dragapult. 2 solid moves, 2 very fun moves, and nothing felt overpowered or too strong at the same time. And yeah, Comfey was unplayable on release, let's be honest. It got a lot of buffs since then. And of course, it also had Zacian release, right? We had Zacian release afterwards, which is the perfect partner. We actually had these partners in crime release at this, like, one after another. And of course, Zacian, the most overpowered thing to ever come out on this game, is for sure Zacian. I think nothing beats this Pokemon out of any of these Pokemon when it comes to it. I feel like, especially because on release, let's talk about release, because it was also bugged on release. I think bugs are part of the release, right? So, yeah, bugs are part of it. And it was, if a bug makes a Pokemon overpowered, or even more overpowered, then it's still pay to win if they don't fix it fast enough, right? Goodra Gudra is actually, I mean, Gudra is probably below average, right? Let's be honest. I do like Gudra a lot, and I play this Pokemon a lot because I really enjoy playing it, but it's for sure a bit below average. Level 8 to get your second move, which is not even like game-changing or anything, it's quite harsh for a defender Pokemon. And but I do like it. I think Gudra is quite fine, but I think it's for sure a bit below average right now. Lapras, I think, is way too overpowered as well right now. This Pokemon's absolutely busted. Way too strong. And then we have Chandelure, which I think is actually quite strong, but I think it's probably also goes into the balance category. Like balance, let's say balance is like 49 to 50% win rate, and then strong is like 51 to like 52% win rate, and then the pay to win ones is everything above 52% win rate. You know, I think that's how I can try to make this work. I think that's quite fair, and I think Chandelure is currently around like, sits around 49% win rate. Of course, hard to tell because Zacian is still and Comfey are overpowering the game. But yeah, that's it for the list. So we have a lot of pay-to-win Pokemon, let's be honest. But then again, there's also a lot of Pokemon down here. If you put these into the same category, then they pretty much even out this top category, right? So like if we, if you put like these in the same category right here, it's pretty much almost the same of like Pokemon that were bad and Pokemon that were good. So let's be honest, honestly, it looks quite fine. Of course, this top row, it does look quite scary, if you're being honest. It does look quite scary, but I don't think it's as bad as people think that every single release is like overpowered. I think that's a bit too overblown sometimes, but it's for sure not a good sign how many Pokemon up here. But yeah, this is the, the spread we have, and I do think the only thing, like Hoopa again, wasn't paid to win. It was just broken, but everyone got it for free. Mew, you could get for free as well at some point. Zacian as well, but still paid to win, because you could speed Mew and Zacian up. And then Dodrio was an interesting Pokemon because it was very bad, but it's because people just were bad at the Pokemon. So I'm not quite sure where to put Dodrio, but probably since it didn't get changed since then, it was just a top Pokemon since forever, but it just took people time to learn it. Let me know what you think about this list, and if you think it's actually a problem, how it looks like, because again, if you think about it right now, it doesn't even look that bad, let's be honest. I don't think it looks as bad as people make it up to be, but I just wish the balance patch would come a bit faster. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!